All right, hey guys, this is Takoba, and today we are going to go through 5 quick tips for vehicles in Satisfactory Update 5. First off, when you're going to record a new route, you need to make sure that you load in enough fuel for the entire route. Vehicles will only draw fuel up to the amount they need for their current route, which means that if you are actively recording a route and none is assigned, they won't pull any more fuel from truck stations. What that means is that you just have to have enough for the entire route in advance. The second tip is that routes need to be a closed loop. So let's go ahead and drive a quick route and come back to the end of it here. All right, as we get to the end of our closed loop, we have 2 truck stations. And so in case we forget which one we started at, there's a nice feature they've added in for a flag hologram that shows us precisely where our route ends and where we need to drive to in order to create the closed loop for our route. So once we drive through there, the route will end. Now, as soon as you're done recording your route, go ahead and save it. If you accidentally click on start recording again, you'll delete it. And so if the route is thousands of kilometers long or hits many different checkpoints, that could be super inconvenient. So go ahead and save your route immediately. When you save your route, make sure you use a meaningful name for it. It's reasonable that you might have 5 routes that do sort of the same thing in different parts of your factory or across the map. So for example, this is a steel beam transport route. And so we might have a steel beam transport route here. We might have one in the northern desert. We might have one in the northern forest. We might have one down in the plains and so on. And so give them meaningful names so that you can tell them apart. In this case, I'm going to name each section of my base something different. And I'm going to call this one Lizard Doggo Canyon. So we'll call this one Lizard Doggo Canyon Steel Beam Transport. Go ahead and save that. And once that's done, then you can see that appear. Okay. Finally, it might be worth adding delays to your route after the fact in order to make use of the maximum transfer rate for a truck station. For example, this maximum transfer rate for this truck station is 26 stacks per minute. You can see right now we've only got about 35 items per minute coming in because there's just not a ton of production behind this. But even with a maximized facility bringing in 1,500 items per minute on 2 Mark V belts, we would only be creating about 7.5 stacks of steel beams per minute on this particular route. Now, this has a maximum transfer rate of about 25 stacks per minute, which means that if we're loading in 7.5 stacks per minute, that loop only needs to run about once every 3 minutes. And if that loop happens to only take about a minute to actually drive, for example, then we might want to implement a 2-minute delay so that we're not using extra fuel, so that we're not running that route with less cargo than we need to or more frequently than we need to. Now, this will also create a little bit of latency in that cargo arriving, but in theory, that shouldn't matter because the total throughput should be about the same. So you can use delays to create more efficient transport lines in this way. All right, hopefully you guys have found these 5 tips for vehicles in Update 5 in Satisfactory helpful. Thank you guys for watching and have a great day.